What?
Quad witch is over. Did we get a turn in the market? Blow off top maybe on Friday's open? We'll talk to Triple D, see what he saw on that. Down again, is it China? Do we know what's going on with China with Blinken going over there? I certainly don't know. Not much earnings. FedEx after the bell. Fed speak. Oh, we love Fed speak during the day. This is Tuesday. We got to jump on the week. And this is pre-market prep.
Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's Pre-Market Prep with your hosts, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I'd buy that stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day.
All right, investors, let's get things started. S&P 500 index futures down 1250, 44.41 and a quarter. Nice range overnight. Let's see if the buy the dippers are lurking again. The buck is up about 25 cents, getting a little rebound off Friday, really after a pretty good decline last week. Bonds are just up a few ticks, kind of in no man's land here at 127 and 14/32. Crude down 22 cents at 71.71. Gold in the red by 7.90, 1963.30. Silver in the red by 22 cents at 23,905. And Bitcoin futures. After a quiet couple days, a rally on Friday, we're moseying our way back up $505 at 26,950. Let me bring in Triple D. And Triple D, is this a correct statement? Quad witches just aren't what they used to be.
Kind of. It was pretty boring, actually. I was expecting something exciting, a gapper or two, and it was crickets. It was not an exciting quad wedge. Maybe the Russell rebalance next Friday. Well, this Friday coming up in 4 days. Maybe that's going to have some more fireworks. But this one was a very quiet.
It looked like on the open, it was like sell, no buy, no sell, no buy, no buy. Oh, it ended up buy. Boom. Just at the last second.
The open had a few. I got a few shorts off. I got a short off just on a couple trades, and it wasn't. There was definitely some stocks that opened up a little bit too high. But what I noticed is a lot of the stocks opened high just went higher. So it was like follow through too. So there was some opens that were interesting. I mean, a Procter & Gamble I think opened up a buck. There was a few that they were trading the pre-market, basically flat, and then boom, and opened up a buck. But then it kind of continued to run. So, I mean, and then there was other stocks. AMD opened right at the highs of the day, and it turned around and reversed. So, and you did see that in some of the tech stocks. They opened at the high. The close was quiet. The open had a little bit of action. Again, there was some movement where some stocks, especially the tech stocks, appeared to open right at the high. Microsoft, I believe, was another one. If you look at the Microsoft intraday, I think it opened almost right at the high tick and immediately went back down. So you did kind of see that potential for the quad witch reversal, which we have seen in the past, where we've seen, quad witch comes in and that's going to be the high made for the next 3 months, or 6 months. We've seen that happen before. It's too early to tell yet, though. I mean, so far so good for the bears. Microsoft is now $10 off of that pre-market high where it was from Friday. So that's something, something for the bears to chew on. I think what the Bears are going to chew on more is probably the Blinken comments over the weekend here, though. And we're not a political show, and we don't want to get too political here, but we just take those comments at face value here. And
hard to ignore.
Tell us, that was probably the biggest news from the weekend was the visit by Blinken over to China, and the commentary. It was very interesting.
All right, let's get to some of that commentary here. I got a summary for you guys. As U.S. Secretary Anthony Blinken stated that the U.S. opposes Taiwan independence and unilateral changes to the status quo. The focus is on achieving a peaceful resolution to the differences between Taiwan and China. The U.S. remains committed to its responsibilities under the Taiwan's Relation Act, ensuring that Taiwan's self-defense capabilities. I think one thing that was really interesting was comments that Taiwan has the ability to defend itself was really important in that message. Just like what we did with Ukraine situation, I'm wondering if we do a very similar move if China were to invade Taiwan, right? Would we just provide weapons and things like that and not actually, mobilize to defend Taiwan? Is that
Yeah.
what we're planning to do here? Is
It,
that the
it's
situational thinking?
I think it is, Mitch. Because you read this statement and maybe you're showing it and it's growing across the bottom. Obviously when you just get that one headline and obviously media will, spook you and says we do not support Taiwan independence. Like, oh my gosh, they're gonna invade. Is this a green light go? And I read that headline and think, oh, it's green light go too. But there's other people, Eric Durham, one of my followers on Twitter, reaching out saying, look, this has been the policy for the US for decades here. That they it's not basically saying green light go here. There's a lot more to unwrap. So one, yeah, they said they do not support Taiwan independence. Does he go over to China and say we do support Taiwan independence and then start a war? I mean, that's pissing in the pool right there. So I think they just we're kind of status quo is the key here, and they actually use those statements. We oppose any unilateral changes to the status quo from either side. So that means they don't want war. They also said about, we expect cross-strait differences to be resolved through peaceful means. So that also is saying we do not support war. So they're saying they, are not coming in and saying Taiwan's, independence or dependence. They're saying that they don't support any changes to the status quo, meaning they won't support war either. So what does that mean? Does that mean if China did invade,
No
the
idea.
U.S. send troops over there to defend? I think it may be more of the same. Like you're saying, you can't really risk World War III. So maybe it's just a matter of like the Ukraine where we give them weapons, we try to help them out. But I don't know if we're putting troops on the ground over there. But I don't know if anybody really knows the answer of what they would do in case of an invasion. They're just hoping it doesn't happen.
I think it's good. I mean, initially when you see it, like, hey, we're going over there. We're talking, right? So I kind of,
That's good news.
yeah. So I mean, I don't know. It's like I said, I was a poli-sci major, but man, if I had to write a paper on this one right now, I'd just say at this point, China's down. China's getting hit on this, but we rallied without China, right? So I think you just kind of have to, kind of put it in the rearview mirror. When and if something happens, we'll know in the markets, and we'll have to, react accordingly. But
it's
right
the
now,
biggest risk. I
it
mean,
is.
what happens that day? And Musk said it, in the Faber interview. Like he basically said he thinks it's imminent. It's basically what he said. You don't have to read between the lines. You can read the lines. So he thinks eventually China is going to invade Taiwan. The day that happens, the day that China actually goes into Taiwan, the markets are going to have their worst day in
Ever.
years, maybe ever.
Yeah.
Because we just are so dependent, on obviously, the chips, everything. I mean, technology stocks are going to get killed. This is the wild card. This has always been the wild card. I mean, but we've been talking about this for a year and a half. Nothing's happened. So maybe they don't invade. Maybe they never invade. Maybe this is just talk. Musk thinks they eventually invade. So that's your risk. I mean, if you're loaded up long on margin, the day that happens, it's not unreasonable to think the S&P's gap down 5, 6, 7% that day. It's not unreasonable to think that. So we don't know if that's ever going to happen. Hopefully it doesn't, but that is a risk. So if you're bullish and you're in the bull thesis and the charts all look pretty, I will tell you the charts don't matter if that happens that day. I am not saying it's going to happen because people are going to parse my words and say, Dennis says the market's going to gap down 7% because China's going to invade Taiwan. I'm not saying any of that. We have no crystal ball to cheese thinking. We don't know. But what my job is to assess risk. That is a risk not only for China
There's
stocks,
risk.
but that is a risk for U.S. stocks too. And the China stocks, don't kid yourself. The day that happens, the China stocks go down like 20, 30, 40% that day. They don't go down 3%. So they're going down 3% today just on, these, I think most of these comments here, just worrying that, oh, maybe, this is, potential that she might say, oh, they won't put troops on the ground. Let's go. Hopefully it's not the case, but I will tell you there is risk involved. And this was why I don't own China stocks. Only reason is that I think eventually that could happen.
Now, I'm wondering if it's not doing as much of an effect as we think it may be doing, as TSM isn't down as much as it was this morning. But of course, the market's already starting to climb back.
Yeah.
So keeping
Buy
an
the
eye
dip.
on like a stock like TSM, of course, that's one of the stocks that I would expect to get majorly beaten down on the news like this, right?
Destroyed if that. Yeah.
Yeah.
If that
And so
happens.
that's what I'm looking at it right now. It is starting to climb back. So we'll see what happens there in TSM. I'm going to move us into kind of more the overall talk. Of course, the markets have been pulling back after it seems like a big rally last week, right? We've gotten the news, of course, that there could be potentially 2 interest rates to come, but we finally got a momentary pause here. What are you guys thinking about the overall market here?
Well, I mean, this is overall market talk. So we're, just assessing overall risk here. And I do believe that, China is down because of this. I mean, when I see the FXI having its worst day in a while, 2.77%, I do see you're looking at Taiwan Semiconductors not down much, but a lot of the other ones, China stocks are. So I think it does impact it. Here, I think when we look at the overall markets, we have to be cognizant that we did have a quadruple wedge. That tech stocks did open at their highs and go straight down from there. So that sets up like we are overbought on tech. Could we get a 5% correction here on tech? We're probably due for it. I mean, it's been an incredible run. AMD, and I'm still long it, 90 to 130 in a month. Stocks just don't go up in a straight line. So, is there reasonableness to think that maybe, we get a little breather here? Maybe, but then you got NVIDIA and it's proving me wrong because stocks just go up in a straight line when you're NVIDIA here as the pause. It's up here again this morning. So there's certain, stories that are just so hot that this doesn't seem to break at all. So I do think you're going to find dip buyers because this is what we're already seeing here in the pre-market. There's so many underinvested money managers that are just buying everything up on dips that I tend to think this is probably not the top we saw on Friday. But, you have to respect it that, it was a serious sell-off on a stock like Microsoft down $10 from where it was Friday morning on no news. So
after it makes a new all-time high also. I'm just going to echo those sentiments. And, the market likes to go in streaks, right? So going into the quad wedge, we had a 6-day winning streak. And that was actually 7 out of 8. So that's a pretty good winning streak. You don't know if it's going to be 7, 8, 9, 10, or 13 in a row like Tesla. But you had to turn. You've had one down day. That was Friday. You've had a little bit of follow through today. A lot of times after you see a reversal of a trend, or I'm not calling it a reversal, but a day or two of consolidation, right? And then you move. And then you got, it's a lot easier for right now for me to identify resistance in the market, right? Because of where we came on Friday, where the high close of the move is, where Friday's close was. So there are your couple bogeys, to hit on the upside. I mean, when and if we get up to Friday's high, we'll deal with that then. It's 50 handles away. And on the excuse me, on the downside, you got a ways to go to get to Thursday's intraday low. So the market has to find some footing today, tomorrow. Not many catalysts. I mean, do we want to go to FedEx maybe? And many of our guests, and we've called it kind of the bellwether of the economy, right?
FedEx. Well, we get FedEx tonight, so we don't have any news here yet to digest here. FedEx earnings come tonight here. It's trading up $1 ahead of it. Again, that strategy, owning stocks ahead of the reports, just is working better than it has in a long time right now because we're in a bull market, and a lot of these core strategies work even better in a bull market. So here you are, FedEx up $1 again. S&Ps are down. FedEx don't care because of reports tonight. I mean, this is dumb. Like, it seems like a dumb strategy. Like, it just seems too simple to actually. That one thing, and this is what people, really complicate everything. I mean, even to their technical analysis. We've talked about this before, Joel, where people just make it so complicated. They're coming in and throwing so many different lines and deriving this and finding this and thinking there's a magic formula here. When meanwhile, I go back to Jeff Mackey, friend of the, we've known, and, obviously on CNBC, Fast Money, one of the, I think it was one of the best people who was ever on Fast Money. They got rid of him because he did that one little thing or whatever. But I mean, Jeff, I think always had that purple crayon, and he just simplified. Take your purple crayon and draw a line. I mean, that is the best technical analysis step. Support, resistance, trends, and 50% retracement. People try to complicate things so much that they think, oh, like, oh, I got to find this or this or this. And the markets are fairly simple. I mean, stocks are getting mentioned in the media, like CNBC coverage, they tend to go higher. So what happens is people are talking about, stocks that are going to report this week. So FedEx probably gets a few mentions here and there, and people are buying it ahead of it. So it's predictable that, then I trade that strategy where you're buying stocks ahead of the reports, but selling them before they report. Seems to work fairly well. With FedEx, you're making yourself, if you hedged it with the S&P, you're making yourself 0.75% right now. That'll pay the bills. So FedEx working here again ahead of the report. I have no idea what they're going to report tonight.
All right, so I got the expected EPS there and the sales there at the bottom. Expected EPS today, $4.89. Sales at $22.72 billion for FedEx earnings tonight. Stay tuned. We'll find out what happens there. Let's go to an acquisition today, and let's continue as Eli Lilly having an acquisition here. Eli Lilly has agreed to acquire Dice Therapeutics for $48 per share in cash. So cash agreement here, and giving it Dice definitely a nice little lift there, now to 46.68. What do you guys see on that chart? And what do you guys think about this sector and industry?
Again, we see Merger Monday in biotech. So we've been talking about this. This one is not in the XBI DIC, so you won't see a big outsized move, but XBI is actually trading up here right now, 0.05%. Some of that is just probably excitement again. So again, that strategy that we've given you on this show a half dozen times works again to the tune of 0.34% right now if you're hedging with the S&P. If you're hedging with IBB, well, IBB hasn't really traded yet, so it's hard to say. It's just too thin. But again, Merger Monday in biotech has been a theme here for a while now. So DIC gets taken off the board, $48 a share in cash. Now consider that, because multiple people ask me, why is Lilly not trading down? I will tell you why it's not trading down is because typically when they do all cash deals, there's no risk arbitrage coming in shorting the acquirer. When you see stock deals, risk arbs come in, short the acquirer, buy the acquiree on the spreads to bring them out there. So it's a way to hedge themselves, where in this case, it's just all cash. So there's no hedging involved. There's no needing to short the acquirer. So usually when you see all cash deals, the acquirers don't get hit nearly as hard as if it's a stock deal.
Okay, Lilly, I looked at a level on Lilly, and we don't know what's going on, but really important stock today. Moves with the market. It's not a huge deal, but you got to keep an eye. And we're trading at 448. Had a close at 447.71. You got a pair of lows at 447.50. So I would just lean on that. Market starts to roll over. That starts to go to 447.50. Not much support, major support until you get to the 440 area, 438.68. Coming back on the upside, that all-time closing high, just like the S&P 500, that was made at 53.93, 453.93. That's the level we'll be keeping on the upside if Lilly goes into rally mode.
All right, let's go to this other stock. I got an interesting one that I got stopped out, and I got out of it on Friday, but it looks like I should have hanged on to this one. KKR and PayPal we're talking about here. KKR is set to acquire up to $40 billion of PayPal pay later loans in Europe. PayPal increased its share repurchase also to an approximately $5 billion here, and starting to get a nice little lift is PayPal.
It's the buyback driving this here, up $1.50. Algos are simple. I can't interpret the KKR thing. I don't think the algos can either, but they can certainly interpret a buyback. It goes higher, up 2%. Here we talked about the potential to fill this gap up from 70 to 75 and get in that area. I mean, this is a beaten down tech name that people are scrambling for stocks that haven't gone yet. So here's another one. I kind of like the PayPal. I told you I'm long it through Square, though, because they're very similar stocks. I'm still long the Square. I think it's in consolidation station. I put the bet out on who's going to 75 first. I think they both might go there. Again, it depends overall market. Stuff happens. If we turn, and everything starts to go down. But I think there's a catch-up trade maybe for Square and PayPal.
All right,
well,
PayPal.
I'm long Square.
Yep, PayPal got a little pop here, trading in the pre-market. 68. I don't see much there. We got really nothing at all. What was yesterday's high? Use that as support if you're looking for a little dip here. 67.15. Had an explosive rally on Thursday, followed through on Friday. I mean, there's really nothing until you get to that gap area at 69.68. Really no major resistance, but let's make sure you hold the top of yesterday's range. These are just quiet rallies. I mean, nothing super explosive. Square trading down 21 cents with the market a little bit. I mean, when I look at these kind of stocks and I look what's going on in the market and things that you want to hit, like these are the ones, like if the market starts to turn, these are ones that since they haven't come off the low that much, these are ones I'd either be more inclined to maybe try and buy the dip on or not be as aggressive on the short side.
Yeah, I was looking for it, and then I was just too worried about the market turning over for me, so I got out of that one.
So you were in PayPal or Square?
Yeah, I had a pretty good
Square.
entry yesterday in PayPal on Friday.
On Friday.
Yeah, I was looking for a nice little. I said 65.25 pullback. We went to 65.23, not too far off of that outlook. And now I think it's important just to kind of hold above kind of the closing action, especially from Friday, 66.43. We hold 66.50s. Yeah, I could keep maybe riding that trend a little bit higher. We'll see what happens there. Here's an interesting one that caught me today. You know, sometimes you come in the morning, you're up decent amount, and then all of a sudden some news comes in and turns things around. Well, today's one of those examples in Tesla. Let's go to Tesla, as they've been granted U.S. patents for two innovations here. Computational array microprocessor systems using non-consecutive data formatting method for energy storage device. So it looks like these patents are having a significant kind of move here to represent technological advancements in two crucial areas for Tesla's business. They could help, of course, kind of get their kind of AI stuff up. Of course, their camera stuff kind of working into it. This is all kind of just showing you that Tesla isn't going away, and the simple patent news gets it driving higher today.
Yeah, it's hard to fight the trend here. NVIDIA and Tesla both trying to make new highs here once again.
It's just ripping right back up.
Yeah, NVIDIA, same thing too. I mean, it's important. I'd say the open are both very important for these stocks here today. What you want to see is them open higher and continue to go higher. You don't want to see them roll over if the overall market opens down. You don't want to see them open high and then roll back over here. So I would say if you're in the long, and you're bullish this stock, you want to really see it hold. Friday's low, absolutely. You don't want to see it, get back to 257. So I'd say cautiously bullish this. The trend is just really steep. I mean, it's just run so far. You'd think it'd have more than a $10 pullback. I'd pull back for 2 days and and then it's right back up to the highs. I mean, this story is just too hot.
Nice little pop, trading against the market, up 71 cents, but really two levels to keep an eye on. High close of the move, 260.54. So I'd see quickly if we come in, if we can hold that off the open, and then nothing else on the upside. Oh, it did fill the gap, 263.60. I was looking the other day where I was seeing if it was going to get a gap fill at 262.47. It did that on Friday on the big open, but let's see. Good day, and right now it's having a good day going against the tape. Let's see if it can post a new a new closing high for the move.
Yeah, that's exactly why I went short it on Friday, Joel's, because it closed the gap, and I said, you know what, I can use that as my out now and look to see the turnaround.
Are you short it right now?
Yeah, I'm short it right now, 260.36.
Where's your stop? Like, where would you like?
Right there, the top of that gap.
263.60, like the
264. I had set
264.
264. Just keeping that in mentality, right? I can risk 4 points. If this comes down, I could see it eventually filling in a downside gap that's below there towards like 240s. So hey, 20 points, risk about 4. Let's see what happens.
I mean, fighting the tape, but what I always say is you can put on any trade, anything you want, anything, as long as you know where your out is. This is the difference between a successful trader and a trader that fails, is that they don't define their risk before they enter the trade. You've got to define your risk on the trades, because especially when stocks are breaking out and you're fighting a trend like Tesla, fight it. You can fight it. It's okay to fight. Mitch has had a couple successful trades fighting this, so he's had some luck on the short side here. Just know where your out is. He's identified it. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, and you move on.
All right, let's keep going. Let's go to another headline here. Let's get out of PayPal. We talked about FedEx. We talked about Eli. Let's go to JD.com as they have some news today as they're planning diversification here and separating their business into various sectors, right? Including they have logistics, healthcare, e-commerce, online finance. So it looks like they're going to be separating the companies here. And they're going to have at least 100 billion yen, 14 billion market cap. And this is coming from Bloomberg. So pretty much separating the business to try to create different drivers. And then we'll see which is the part of the business that you want from JD. Do you want their logistics, healthcare, e-commerce, online finance? We'll have to take a look.
Oh man! Usually when you see a stock separating and breaking out,
It
into
goes
businesses,
up.
the stock goes up. Yeah, you're down 4% on this. So I don't follow the story closely enough to know if there's more to it than this. I do say, China's having a rough day. I do think the Blinken comments have knocked China's stocks down here today. So maybe on a different day they report this, maybe you get a different response, but down 4% is not a great response to obviously some financial engineering really here.
You made the charts are really giving you nothing too. You made a pre-market low at 38.15. It's hard to talk about gaps on this because, it's trading overseas. So I would say, notwithstanding the Blinken comments, notwithstanding what they're doing with the company, you've had a nice rally off your May low. If you're looking to enter this stock, made a low right around 31.50. You made a high at 40.50. That's easy enough. 40.5. If you want to look at this stock, from the long side, see if you can get it back at the 35, 36 area and lean on the low of the move. But it seems like right after the 4 a.m. open, someone came in and kind of made a bid in the lower 38s. It's not really jetting out of there, but that's enough. That's enough on JD.com. Jack Ma, someone's taking over for Jack. Baba, that $80 level at the end of May, that held again. We'll see if it can rebound. It's already off the pre-market lows as well. So China was down, but lows of the session could be
maybe
in
it's a
here.
buy the dip opportunity
Yeah.
in China. Maybe if it is just the status quo, and maybe this isn't mean there's more chance that China invades Taiwan. Maybe these stocks are a buy on the dip. They were starting to look productive technically here. Baidu's actually catching an upgrade here today, so might as well just stick on the China theme here for a second. Baidu is getting upgraded to overweight by, I believe it's Morgan Stanley. Stock is trading up $2. So if you're wondering why Baidu is bucking the trend, you're getting an upgrade there. 150 is huge on this, though. That's where you just fell off. Big psychological whole number. I'm sure there's some call options there, too, which probably went off the board, a lot of them on Friday. But, 150 psychological level there, that's major resistance for Baidu.
Baidu.
Yeah, a nice pop. Who gave it the upgrade?
Morgan Stanley.
Well, that's influential. The high from last week, 49.89. But first things first, that high close of the week, which a lot of stuff was made on Thursday. If you guys and gals are looking for, reference points on your stocks, and Friday's high is a little bit out of the realm because of that. So look for that close on Thursday, and that close on Thursday for Baidu comes in at 48.71. That's still $1.50 away. So keep an eye on that area. Along with the high of the move, as Dennis pointed out, that psychological 150 area. Thursday's high, 149.89. We did get some May housing starts if we're kind of looking for news here, but not really moving the market, not much to move the market this week, except we got a couple Fed heads speaking, right, Mitch?
Yeah, we can talk a little bit about that today. You'll get a couple of Fed heads speaking, right? You got New York's Fed President John Williams will appear with Fed Vice Chair of Supervision Michael Bard, and that's going to be set at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. So stay tuned. 11:45. Correct that. 11:45
that could be
a.m.
market
Eastern.
moving. Always those comments. The Fed
definitely.
speakers always know when that is. 11:45. You said, Mitch.
11:45 a.m. Eastern.
Always know those Fed speak times because they can move the market. We did have housing starts just break here too. We'll get to that in 1 second here, but there's also a headline from Rivian and Tesla that just broke here about 3 minutes ago. You got Rivian is going the same way for GM. They're going to use the Tesla chargers. So just grabbing at Rivian owners to be able to access Tesla superchargers from 2024 with adapters is the statement here. Rivian will make the Tesla style charging ports standard on its vehicles from 2025. So again, Tesla wins here once again, showing why they are best in breed, showing that all of these other companies have to use their network. I mean, this
That's
is
huge.
just unbelievable. Tesla's so well run. I mean, valuation, forget about it. It's just so well run here. So Tesla's up on this as well. We know Tesla ran when it had the deal for it, ran the deal with GM. I mean, Rivian smaller, obviously. This popping Rivian stock here too.
Yeah.
What do you think of Rivian?
Someone asked me about that on PreMarket Prep Plus early last week, and I said, you know what? If you're looking for stocks that really haven't gone yet,
True.
that fits the category.
Yeah.
I believe we were talking. It was trading around, I don't know, the 1450, 1460 area, and I'm like, doesn't so big boy stepped up at 14. Not last week, but the week before. Stepped up a little bit higher in the 14 handle yesterday. I think things get interesting over $16. That was the high on Friday, the high from last week. You also had a high back in March. It's at 16, and then you got a little gap to fill. So just kind of a sleeper rally, right? In Rivian, and we've already gone over the technicals here in Tesla.
Yeah, and it looks like they're trying to put the squeeze on me, man. We'll see what happens.
I don't really think the market cares.
More headlines. I love and I trade. So again, what happens
is how it is, man.
You have
don't
headlines,
take it
especially when you trade a
personal,
stock like
Mitch.
Tesla's
Oh,
headlines.
they're always coming. There's always a headline, man. There's always a headline. Whenever you're in positions, there's always going to be something going against you, right?
There
That's
is,
just
and
a
people
part
will
of the
say,
game.
technicians will say, ignore the headlines. It's just all noise. I will say that's incorrect.
Yeah, that's incorrect.
There is a lot of noisy headlines in Tesla. There's a lot of headlines that maybe don't matter in a stock like Tesla. You get headlines every day, but headlines move stocks. You've got to respect headlines. It changes narratives. It changes everything. The reason that I have been successful in this business for now, I guess I'm going on 24 years here now, full-time trading, is that I respect the headlines, that I follow the headlines, that I trade off the headlines. It's not that I ignore the headlines. The worst, I believe, that's some of the worst possible advice on the street is to ignore the headlines. If you're a long-term investor, you can ignore the headlines, but you still want to know the good stories and what's happening. But if you're a trader and you're ignoring headlines and just saying, I just look at charts and that's it, I mean, there's so much damage that can be done by just, ignoring headlines. You got to respect them as a trader. They change story, they change narrative. Don't believe as a trader. Now, I'm saying as a long-term investor, maybe it's better to ignore the noise. But we're traders. Most of the people listening to this audience are traders that are doing active trading. Headlines change narrative. Headlines move stocks. Headlines matter.
All right, let's go to an interesting upgrade today. Let's go to an upgrade in Avis budget. Looks like Morgan Stanley upgrading Avis budget to overweight and raising price target to 230. I think this is a really interesting chart. I've been talking about this one on Start Swing Trade, that the monthlies look pretty interesting, and it keeps holding in here. You can see that on the bottom right chart on Joel's charts there. We'll see what happens. Avis budget.
1,900 shares getting a pop. I mean, these things you can't be pig-headed. I know this is not the only way it's related is that they're both in the travel sector. But look what J.P. Morgan did to this Carnival Cruise Lines.
Can't stop.
Carnival Cruise Lines.
Can't stop.
Come on.
Jump on the boat, baby. It's a party.
It goes 13 to 14. You're like, oh, well, that's over that's the biggest move that thing's had and ever. And then it goes 14 and a half, 15, 15 and a half. Now it's looking a little bit toppy, but, standing, and especially a stock like car that, people love, I'd say there's nothing clean in there. Until if you're looking for a target just for today on a short-term basis, there's really nothing up there till 223.30. that splits a pair of highs from March 8th and March 9th. So I'm not
The
standing in the way.
upgrades are changing narratives, Joel. And
They
we
are.
have to respect when you're in a bull market, like the Domino's Pizza, or what's Domino's Pizza?
Yes, it was. It
Was
kept
that one,
going.
but there was another one too.
Besides
Maybe it was
Carnival.
Domino's Pizza. Was it Domino? Which one was
Yeah,
I
because
in?
you had it. You
Was it
had it.
Domino's Pizza that I was in?
Yeah, you had it.
Yeah, I
And you
think
thought
it
it was
was.
worth $7.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
And I was
And-
like, and I didn't give it enough because I didn't, where I screwed that trade up. So I was long Domino's Pizza. I bought it off the upgrade because I was like, it's worth more than, I think I paid up like $3 for it. So I was like, it's worth more than $3. But then it got up like 7. I was like, well, that's pretty much full valued. And the thing opened up 17. So I mean, and then ran another 20 after that. So what I didn't consider is, is changing dynamics of the market and, beating down stocks when you get, and Domino's Pizza was beaten up before that upgrade, really. It was a contrarian call. Those can turn the narrative for a few days here. Car is same thing here. I would not fade this upgrade. Reason being is that Domino's Pizza had a huge move. Companies nothing to do with each other, but a little sleepy for the last 3-4 days. Now it gets a vote of confidence. Who's upgrading it?
Morgan.
Morgan's big.
Yeah.
Morgan's got some serious weight here. I'd put them top 5 for sure. It can
especially
change the narrative.
as of late.
So there's room here to 220, 225. Not saying I'd necessarily chase it, but just to come blindly shorting these, saying, oh, wow, somebody will shrug this off, and they're going to hit this back down. That hasn't been the case lately. The circumstances have changed in this market, and you've got to respect, when the upgrades come in, and they're not these chasing upgrades, but upgrades kind of out of the blue, that they can move stock for a couple days.
Do you remember when this stock squeezed from like I think it was like in the 170s to like 545?
Oh
that one day
yeah.
it was like
insane.
a just absolute insanity. Well,
that was 2021.
We've come down to those levels multiple times and bounced off of that kind of 170 area. I don't know. Is this lining up for maybe a 250 move? Who knows?
I think you could have, don't forget, think about those 500 moves because those days are long behind us. But I count what Mitch is saying here, that we are getting some momentum in pockets, different pockets here right now. This stock hasn't really had a lot of momentum. It has the potential to get momentum though.
Wouldn't want to be in front of it. Let's just say that much.
Yeah, like if you're fading that when did Carnival Cruise Line get the JP Morgan upgrade? It's a good example, Joel.
I can give you exactly what day it was. It was a week. It was last Monday, so it wasn't a week ago because it's Tuesday. So it went from 1309 to 1472,
and then just continued going higher.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think the car. I don't like chasing stocks, but I think if I was making a trade on this, and I'm not in the trade right now, I'd be buying it at 212 as opposed to selling it at 212. The reason I say 212, you see 211, but it's bid 211, 211.48. You might be able to get 212. I'd be more of a buyer here than a seller here, I think.
We'll see what happens. I got another upgrade for us. Let's take a look at Cities Group upgrading Philip Morris. So cigarette smokers out there to buy and raising a price target to 117.
What now? Oh, PM. Okay.
PM.
That's still high, 117. This is a slow, stodgy stock. This is a lower beta name. It's got a dividend of 5.26%. It's not going to be one that blasts off $10 on this. This is not that stock. Car could blast off $10 easily, even $20 on that upgrade. Not PM. It's not going to do it. I actually had some PM and I sold it already here this morning. Maybe a couple bucks. I don't. And maybe I'm wrong. And if it's going to go to 100, I'll be like, have to reevaluate everything. If this goes to 100, I'm like, holy cow. I think there's room to 100, but I don't think this upgrade's driving it there today.
I'd rather. I'm not going to look for resistance on this one because you hit a high on Friday at 96. So I'd like to use that area support. But, if it runs another buck, which would be a really big move for this stock, 97.34 was your May 3rd high. So keep an eye on that as a potential target. Closed on the low of the session after opening near the high. So people are like, I'm getting another look at 96. Boom, boom, boom. So we'll see if it can hold the former resistance 96.11 as support in today's session. And Dennis, I was looking. I got just a minor tangent today. So I was looking through the pro and I was looking through the ratings, and I saw a company's name, and I'm like, whoa. Wait a second. Am I like in a time warp? Like this is a company from like the 60s and 70s. I think it got taken out in the 80s or early 90s. And it was a really popular company and it restarted in 2021. Do you know who I'm talking about?
No.
I'll give you. I'll
we
give
weren't
you
trading back in the 70s and 80s either, though. Joel's reminiscing to his 1970s trading.
Okay. All right. I'll give you a hint.
Chat knows it, maybe.
When does the chat get it?
I don't know, but they're usually good.
Is it
We'll
Kodak?
see if they get it.
No. It's a company. It's a
company.
firm. It's an analyst firm that was perhaps the most. We're going to stay on this for a while.
Oh my gosh.
Was probably one of the most
Indian motorcycles.
analyst firm.
Pet
Do you
Rock
guys know
Company.
what
That's good.
Do you guys know what?
Pet Rock Company.
Analyst.
They're trying out there. Let's go.
We don't know where you're going with this.
They merged with one. There we go. Joel. And I didn't put that in.
Joel knows it, bro. Joel.
Hutton?
Yeah.
The Joels know it, bro. EF Hutton.
Yes.
Joel's know. The Joels are in the know.
Yeah.
Hutton.
Yes. Yes. EF Hutton. They do
They're
ratings and stuff.
Show some respect, man.
EF
Hutton.
Get
EF
it.
Hutton, Merrill.
Yeah.
I used to call it like EF Hutton. Then they merge with Shearson Lehman, and then they merged with Merrill Lynch, and then
Now they're back on their own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2020. Yeah. There we go. Okay, that was fun. Had to do one. I didn't get to do a tangent yesterday, so
no, we'll let you do it. Okay. I remember EF Hutton. I liked EF Hutton.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Yeah.
All right, team. Let's go ahead.
I just want to give you an imbalance update here. So we are leaking on the S&Ps, and we have some sell imbalances pretty much across the board here. I'm not sure if they're real, but this is not like a quadruple witch Friday where they flip around. I'm just seeing sell imbalances all over the place here on a lot of stocks. Bank of America, 241,000 to sell. That is significant. JP Morgan, 58,000 to sell. Wells Fargo, 73,000 to sell. It's not just, unfortunately, it's not just the banks, though. It's across the board. Oracle, 50,000 to sell. IBM, 29,000 to sell. Exxon and Chevron, 80,000 and 54,000 to sell, respectively. Pfizer, 200,000 to sell. I don't see any buy imbalances. It's all sell imbalances, and they're fairly large for this size in the morning. So I'm not sure this is one big player that's just like, nah, I just want to get out of some stuff. But we've got to respect here that there is some sell imbalances here this morning, which I haven't seen it skewed to that side in a while. NEE, utility company, 57,000 to sell. So we'll see if these hold. Maybe, again, this could change lots of time before. But as of right now, that could put pressure on the S&Ps.
All right, let's go ahead. Let's get into our TradeZero time. You guys out there, throw up some tickers. What are you guys looking at today? We'll definitely take a look. All right, let's get to these gappers. Let's see what's showing up here. And like always, you guys can check out what you guys see here, TradeZero's flagship software. I'm going to put it full screen so you guys can see it big. Any stock stand out for you guys here? I see MSTR. I've been waiting to see if the relationship with Bitcoin and the NASDAQ kind of comes back. Of course, NASDAQ has made a huge run since then. I'll keep an eye out on stocks like MicroStrategy. Of course, we've talked about why Baidu's up. We've taken a look at DICE. We've talked about PM. Etsy up today. I don't know why this one's up today. It was
up after hours Friday too. I don't know if I saw the headline here or not. I'm sure there is one because this is obviously bucking the trend here.
Yeah.
Exactly. Buyback. No, that was earlier. Buyback.
There's some forms here, some Form 8s that I need to look through. Oh, some Form 4s. Looks like there might be some insider buys by directors and stuff like that. I'd take a look at that.
I didn't research the headline.
That came in on Friday.
I think there's a headline though. I think you're right.
Yeah. So, and there's another Form 8 from 440 on Friday. So we'll keep a look to see if Etsy can make
Pair of
a move
highs in
here.
there. Pair of highs in that. See, you got to keep an eye on it. 96.65. That was the high for the week. Friday's high was right there. 96.50. You're getting a little bit of a running start into it. So even though there's another pair of highs up at 98, this one looks good. And I don't know if it's the buyback, and I don't know. This chart, and the reason this is like, people, what I was doing a little bit on Friday, what hasn't gone yet?
Exactly.
Like what growth stock, former darling, hasn't even come close to retracing 50%, is, 50, 60 bucks off its yearly high. What hasn't gone yet? That's where we should do a segment, and because that's what people are like. Do you want to buy Microsoft? Do you want to buy Apple? Or, oh, look at Etsy, man. That's a hard bottom there. So that's what I'm saying. And keep an eye. If it goes through 96.50, I wouldn't want to be short with your money.
We'll see what happens there on Etsy. Let's keep going here. Of course, PayPal shows up. That's one of those charts that I felt like that, Joel, that it might have not gone enough yet and just starting to get going. So we'll see what happens in PayPal. Here's an interesting one that I don't look at too often, but this is one stock I thought about in the pandemic. Always going to be kicking myself. USFD. Of course, U.S. Food Holdings. You've probably seen their trucks around. They deliver to most of the restaurants and kind of take a lot of the goods to the restaurants. This one's up there to 42, almost 43. And in the pandemic, this was down to $8.32.
Wow.
I remember I was kicking myself. I was like, should I just buy it at 10? Should I just buy it at 10? It would have been such a nice little buy, man. My thought was, if we ever came back into business, U.S. Foods would be back. And
it is back, and the stock's near highs. Morgan Stanley is upgrading the stock here today. That is why it is trading higher. They upgrade to overweight. They put a price target of $54 on it here. Stock's trading up a little bit. Breaking out. I mean, you got to like the breakout here. Again, food stock. I don't know if this is like the sexy AI trade or not, but the stock is very close to new highs. So you got to respect that.
All-time highs.
I'm not fading it.
Yep.
I don't short stocks making new all-time highs. Not very often. People naturally think, like, again, I've said this before, they naturally think, oh, the stock is going up. That's the one I want to short. It's kind of the opposite. The easier ones are the ones that are weak.
Yeah. That's
all-time high territory, folks. Morgan Stanley pushing it through there. It is trading at an all-time high because that former all-time high was 42.36, and we're trading above it on 6,000 shares. So let's see if you can hold the bid. If you're not a chaser, but you're a believer in the move, pull back to the top of yesterday's range, 42.10. A little bit of a pullback. So U.S. Foods. What's the Diamond Foods? Do you guys remember that one? What's the symbol on that one? Diamond Foods.
No.
Is it public? It was the reason I'm looking. I asked about it.
Oh, I think I've heard of it for sure.
Because
I know what you're talking about.
It was a couple weeks ago. It was on Barron's did a big thing on it. And they said because of Costco and these other companies. Do you know that one, Dennis?
Diamond Foods?
DMND.
Yeah.
DMND. Diamond Foods. Can I find it here?
DNMD. Okay. Now, what? Give me Delta.
I know a lot of stocks. U.S., so this is either too small for me. USDF is what they're saying. I don't. This may not be public.
Yeah, it's this Diamond Foods. It was on NASDAQ as DMND, but I don't see it there anymore.
Okay.
So it might have disappeared there, but
yeah, I don't even remember really trading it. So maybe it was just
to give you that, Joe. At least
I stay away from real small ones, and again, I don't know this company. So you went off the board here again, Joel.
No worries. It's Diamond Foods. At least I've heard of it for sure. That's a packaged food. They do like.
Let's go look at what's in the down filter.
Let's take a look at the down filter. See what's coming down today, right? We'll see what happens here. Adobe pulling back after getting to the 500. It went above the 50% retracement level, and that's one thing that I've been looking at. Would we get above 500, start tumbling back down, or back
the reversals are concerning here? The reversals in the tech, a lot of them are concerning. I know Tesla and Nvidia is holding on strong, and that's good news for the bulls, but the reversals from Friday are concerning. It happened on the wrong day, so we have to respect that. That was a nasty reversal in Adobe here, opening up right at the highs and straight down all day, giving back $20 from the highs. Now it gives back another $5, just like that. Stock makes a new high, 518, and just like that, it's 28 points off the high. So, I mean, that's, it's kind of serious. I'd say you got room potentially at 474, 475. I think you'll find buyers down there, though.
Oh, big move continuing on Friday. Dennis mentioned a pair of lows right there, 473, 474. Coming back on the upside. I mean, there's, if the market turns around, you get a nice rally. Bottom of yesterday's range, 494.62. And the close just above that at 95.48.
All right, we'll see what other happens. This one was mentioned in the chat, so I'll go to it. CRM, TVG, timeline. I see you out there. I got you. CRM, let's take a look. Salesforce starting to come down from 209. What do you guys think about this chart?
Still long. It's not looking that great, but you're in consolidation station here. So this is my long-term account, not as a trade. I put it in there on the earnings dip, and it bounced back nicely, but it's coming back down here. Again, you can feel like some weight. You can feel some sellers in tech here the last couple of days. Certain stocks not participating here. CRM is trying to get up there, had a couple good headlines there, and then getting faded here. So it's in consolidation station here. That's what we'll say. It's consolidation station right now.
205 area, right around the low from last week. 205.02 was your low from last week, and it was also the low from the previous week. So you got 3 lows in that area. I know it's $5 away, but if you think this thing's just going to continue higher, won't go near that level, and just mosey on up. On the upside, got to fill the gap at 1060 and double close area 211.80. That's important if you're looking to trim in CRM.
We'll go to Disney here. I mentioned in the chat multiple times. They wanted to take a look, and I will mention for Disney here that, of course, Disney's animated Elemental had its lowest opening of any Pixar release since the original Toy Story in '95. Of course, without taking inflation into consideration, but not a good opening here for their new movie that just came out.
They have been struggling here for a bit. Not participating in the recent rally is also a concern. I like the $90 level. I'm not in the trade. I'm not in the stock anymore. I do respect that there is some support here in this whole $90 area. But it is concerning that, we've been rip-roaring, rallying on everything, and Disney's still not participating. And what I said before is the parks are packed. And if we do slow down in the second half, it's been the parks, because there's so many other businesses in Disney that are struggling. ESPN, all kinds of problems, obviously. We know that for years. But the Disney Plus is not going well for them right now. I'm going to say that. Netflix is eating the lunch. I'm thinking about getting rid of my Disney Plus subscription because we hardly watch it. So, I mean, now you get a movie coming out. It doesn't do as well here. They're not firing on all cylinders. The parks are, and that's it. It's the parks that are keeping the, the cash flow strong, but everything else not looking great here, which is a concern.
Biggest concern is not really participating in this rally. But you've had a move from 87 to almost 95, right? 94 and a half, 7-point move, 3.5. That coincides right with the 90 and a half dollar area. Also a pair of lows right there, just under 90, 89.60, 89.44. Then just a real small gap to fill down 89.06. But if you thought you missed the dip on Disney, could perhaps get it back at the 89.5, $90 area, lean on the double bottom, 87.11, 87.15.
Shout out to Craig LeBlanc giving us a nice $4.99 tip here. And you guys, we make everything completely free for you guys. We truly appreciate tips like this. And like always, you guys can smash the like to show us that you guys appreciate the show and appreciate us doing this every single morning for you guys. He put in Penn here. this has turned to the downside now in the sports
won't
betting
go.
industry. The
It won't
big
go.
news right now that's been going around, of course, has been DraftKings trying to go after, of course, Points Bets. That's an OTC company, PBTHF. And of course, the big news here is that Fanatics was trying to go for it, but DraftKings trying to come in here and step over their deal. So that's just the talk right now in the sports industry. But Penn keeps coming down, cannot get a lift.
No, and I have this long, and my wife's like the bad ones, and the wife's RS long-term RSP account. It's been in there for a while. Absolutely bought this at the wrong time. I sold half of it when it cut through, and I was like, I'm going to hold a little piece. I wish I wouldn't have held any piece here. It's been a disaster. Penn continues to be a disaster, does not participate. I thought like last week, I was like, oh, it's consolidating here. Maybe it's going to go. And look, it resolves itself to the downside again. The overall trend just too heavy. Talking against my book here, but it looks, like you got to be a seller of rallies in Penn. It just can't figure it out.
Do you see
with
that?
Wynn, you look at some of these other ones like Wynn, Las Vegas Sands, like look at their, not the recent last couple of months, but look at the last since October. Las Vegas Sands went from 35 to 58.
Yeah,
WYN has went from 70 to 110. DraftKings, if you want to go to the sports betting side of it, has went from like 10 to 24. And then there's Penn. And it's went down in that time period. I mean, there's not a lot of stocks that are down since October. You got to be doing something pretty special to be down since October. Penn not doing anything right.
I think the big part there is Barstool not the same what it used to be. Everyone used to consider it like it's like the best thing ever in sports media ever. It's not, team. It's not.
Man, I tell you, I see at the gym or something, you see these sports betting shows and stuff, and they're like, how many strikeouts is this guy gonna have? Like, oh, I think you should bet like the over on 5 strikeouts. And I'm like, what? I'm like, how? I mean, you got to really be following your sports and have your AI. And man, I'm just like to be on the other side of every other one of those things. But let's just look at Penn. And I know Dennis probably didn't give the most positive outlook on it. It's down again.
I'm getting my butt kicked in it.
Yeah, I mean, you got to get back and hold this $25 area. Moseyed up from 23 to 27 and then kind of stopped dead in his tracks. So 4-point move to 25. You had some lows in the lower or upper 24 handle. So if I was long this one, I'd say, man, come on, hang in here, 24.75, 25 for a couple days. Maybe just don't necessarily have to take out Friday's high and then turn up. But that's trying to give you a positive outlook, and that's for Penn, PENN.
All right, let's go ahead. Let's wrap up the market. Last outlook here from Joel Elconin. And of course, you guys can keep up with everything Joel does on Pre-Market Prep. Plus, of course, check out the closing print. If you haven't done so this week, always starts at 3:30. Joel, what's the last look into the market?
Well, last look into the market is we hit a weekly number on the downside, 44.32. So all systems go to the north. As long, we hold that mid range on the second session, couple points higher. But the most important thing is you got 2 closes above. Your close from Thursday, which was the high close of the move at 53.75. I'd love to see the market get back up there, see how it acts at that area. And I am not so much going to worry about the high on Friday at 93.75, but that closing high for the move at 71.25. And I just wanted to mention real quickly before I hop out, I am going to be on with my boy Blue on Pre-Market Prep Plus. So I want you to join me. I want to get his outlook on inflation here, right? I mean, we've had the key numbers. He was the one that told me, hey, these numbers are going to be good, but he's not so much, the comparisons are starting to get a little bit tougher. So there's your link to join me and Blue. Everyone have a great day and check in with you guys. Talk to you all later on.
Have a good one,
We're
guys.
seeing
All right.
pockets of strength in some tech companies. Amazon has turned green. Shopify, PayPal. We already talked about Tesla being up.
Man,
And then you
buy
got
the dippers.
yeah, so you're seeing that happen to a certain extent. I don't like a lot of these sell imbalances across the board on some of these New York Stock Exchange stocks. We don't know the NASDAQ imbalances because they don't come out and show us anything until 9:25. So, so it's just different information comes out at different times. But right now, I see a lot of sell imbalances in some big stocks. So that makes me a little bit nervous just on the S&Ps at the open here. But that, doesn't mean anything more than just to the day traders here. So cautious here.
Yeah, I see, stocks like Microsoft, Apple making their way back. Big one I'll be watching, Microsoft also. It had a pretty ugly day on Friday with that turnaround at 350s. So if we could get back there immediately, I mean, the bulls would love that, right? A recovery right back to 350. But if I see like a hard candle back into this resistance, let's say 335, that could tell me a little bit more. Finally seeing a little bit of a pullback. Does it mean it's broken? No, it could still catch this like bottom support that it's just been catching for a while now. So doesn't mean that we're broken by any means, but could we take a little bit of a rest in this rally? I think we could see maybe a little sideways consolidation, maybe up here towards like the 430s. Of course, the only kind of concerning action for me would be a move back below like 420. But we're ways away from there, right?
Yeah, bulls in complete control here. I mean, a little bit of concerning action for the short-term traders here. Could you get a 2 or 3 day? Like I said, could you get a 5% pullback in the NASDAQ? Probably would be healthy. Probably would shake out and get some more hands, stronger hands. But, again, trend your friend. Keep an eye on Tesla and NVIDIA. They're your leaders here today. They're both in the green. So, that bodes well a little bit for the market here.
Yep.
Let's see what Tesla and NVIDIA do. I'll be watching them.
Yeah, I'll be watching Tesla.
Oh yeah, you're in it. So
we'll see what happens, guys.
Money Mitch is in there.
Hey, there's only one way to go about it. Know the plan, stick to the plan. There's always going to be news that might go against you. Today, I do got news going against me. The overnight action was looking great. Now we just need to see what happens here at the open. Like always, keep up with Dennis Dick. You guys know my man. Give him a good follow on Twitter. We'll see you a little bit later, Dennis. Have a good one, man. And now to bring you guys over to live trading, that's coming up next. And don't miss the book club today as we wrap up, of course, Japanese candlesticks. We're going to get into a new book. So if you guys want to join today, that's going to be today at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time right here on Benzinga. But the only way to get to it is if you hit that link and join the book club, as it's an exclusive member group for all you guys out there and a way for me to give back. And we get through books, right? Knowledge. And we go through it with real-time examples. We had just talked about an IWM example that really could have been a huge, massive win. What did we talk about on there? We talked about a supporting trend line, right? And you could see it here. 1, 2, 3 times, 4 times we come to this supporting trend line. We bounced really strong off that 178, went up there to the 190 area. And you guys can see that's a massive opportunity. And where did we talk about that? Only on the book club, of course. So if you guys want to catch that, hit that link now to bring you over to live trading action. That's coming up next. And of course, we have a great show for you guys all day long. If you guys haven't seen already, check out the Trader Bacon Show with Zunaid. And later today, we'll keep pushing on. And this week, we got a biotech virtual event that you guys don't want to miss out. We got a lot for you right here on Benzinga. Later today, I also will be releasing a video from VCon. Check out some interviews and, of course, learn from how to advance your brand and take your brand to the next level. Really, truly, that's what VCon was really all about. So if you guys like making business connections, you guys like advancing brands and being on top of your game in that space, check out the VCon video released today at 4 p.m. Eastern. Now to bring you to live trading, Zunaid and I are ready to get after this market. Come check us out. Like always, you don't got to go anywhere. Just stay right here on Benzinga.